You got your Mag guys, McMullen and McDonald here with you on Birds 365, and we got indoors Chris Franklin. No screened-in porch. He's got a mirror going. He's got a mock turtleneck on. Damn, you're looking good, Franklin. What, do you got a date or something today?
Actually, I do later on. After I get everything done later on, so that's the only reason why I'm looking all dressed up right now.
Very
but
nice.
Yeah,
good.
It's that time of year, man. Happy Thanksgiving in advance, Chris.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. I'm thankful for a lot. Get to talk to you guys. Get to talk Eagles. Get to cover this Eagles team. It's fun. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you for jumping in with us. All right, you got to cover Nick Sirianni on a day-in, day-out basis. Rather emotional this week, both after the game, getting up on the bench, high-fiving Eagle fans, pumping his fist to Eagle fans, and then when he talked to you guys after the game, it was pretty damn emotional. Good thing, bad thing, kind of irrelevant thing. What do you think about the Eagles' emotional head coach? How much emotion plays into him coaching this football team?
I have no problem with it when it goes to surrounding on the outside stuff. When it starts to affect his decision making and his play calls, that's where I start to have a little.
Do you think it did on Sunday? Do you think his emotion factored into the play calling on Sunday?
I thought toward the. I know he explained that whole fourth week. I think it did a little bit. I think some of the play calls did a little bit. When they did try deep, I think they was trying to go push it a little bit more. But I think he really wanted to. I think he really wanted to stick it to the Colts because he messed with his friend, and I think, because some of those that didn't look like a Nick Sirianni game in that sense, of the fact that you usually see them even killed, you see some of the decision making, but some of them a little off, and I think that had something to do with it overall.
Yeah, I thought he was pressing a bit as well, Chris, in that there were some strange decisions. Coming out of the 2-minute warning, trying to draw him offsides, call him timeout again. Boston Scott as the closer late in the game. He doesn't play much in the game, and then all of a sudden he's on the field running it 3 consecutive times. I don't know. I sense that pressing, and maybe it was Indianapolis. Did you get that same feeling, or is it just making maybe not the best decisions in the moment?
I think when I look back at that Boston Scott thing, the only thing I can think of, and I wish I asked him this more now, but maybe ask Shane later on today. But the only thing I can think of is that they wanted somebody to go more north-south and just attack the hole instead of potentially going back. And that's not to say Miles has done a lot better this year instead of trying to go sideline to sideline. That one too, he's hitting the hole better. The only thing I can think of is, okay, they wanted Boston to just go, okay, 1 foot plant and go. That's the only reason. If not, I don't know what he's thinking there. I mean, Boston was making the right decisions for the most part all day. I mean, he got you to that pass interference penalty that got you down in position to score a winning touchdown. So I wonder a little bit more, but it really did not seem like, I'll lean it did, because it did not seem like he didn't seem like himself that he normally did. We've seen the rest of the season so far.
All right, Jalen Hurts came up huge in the fourth quarter. Nobody's going to argue that. Game saving touchdown pass to Watkins keeps him in the game, perfectly thrown, right on time. And then his ability to run the football in that final drive, including the touchdown at the end of the game. I want to give Jalen Hurts all the credit in the world, because he did. He saved the Eagles' bacon. But he's also the quarterback for the first 3 quarters, where they scored 3 points. He, like everyone else on this football team, was up and down on Sunday. It's just his up came at the perfect time, so it's what everybody's going to remember. How come the Eagles' offense did next to nothing for 3 quarters?
It looked like they were out of sorts. It was like a bizarro world offense in a way that the stuff that they were doing successfully all year, they weren't doing as much. And I thought they didn't establish a run like they normally do. Whenever you really have Sanders and Gainwell and Scott all go, man, Sanders and Gainwell lately, but you have those guys going, everything else flows. And they really had A.J. Brown early on. He seemed like to be the guy that was really open, and gaining chunk yards at the time, and then they just seemed like they went away. So I look at this as a play. I think if you ask Shane probably would say that, hey, you know what, this wasn't his best game play calling. When I look at Jalen Hurts, I thought he did all right. I didn't have any problem even in those first 3 quarters. I'm shocked I'm saying it's the one unit that I thought did not do well and didn't have its best game at all was the offensive line for the most part.
Yeah,
You
they
look
got
at the left side.
so.
That left side, that line was, whew, they were getting beat. They were getting pressure on the run, and then they were getting pressure on the backside of the rush. So it was weird. It's just we were in a bizarre world in Indianapolis. It was crazy.
It certainly was uneven, Chris. No doubt about that. It was a little kind of ugly. It was herky jerky, whatever term you want to use. How much of that had to do with Dallas Goedert? I mean, they talked about it's going to take a village, blah blah blah. Well, they took a village. I mean, we had more Grant Calcaterra, Jack Stoll, obviously, Tyree Jackson, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell, Wes Watkins, more involved, Zach Pascal. That's a village. They didn't make one Dallas Goedert, though, Chris Franklin.
Yeah, because when you look at the way he commands the middle of the field. I mean, you have to respect him when he runs those post routes, when he runs those hitches in that zone area in the middle of the field, because then it gives Smith and gives Brown some room on the outside to operate. And when you don't have that, then it goes like, oh well, we can kind of shade one safety over Brown, one safety over Goddard, and then find some other way to do that. And I think you're really starting to see his impact, the impact that he has on this offense. And listen, I know people talk about, oh, well, he gets so many yards to catch because he gets the screens and everything else. Well, you still got to respect that. You still got to account for where he is on the field. And when you have one less weapon in the caliber that you have, a guy who's, in my opinion, a top 3 tight end this year in the league, you need to find a way to do that. You just can't. Like, you could try all the different things. You could do that. I saw one thing that I really was surprised with was that Zach Pascal. I don't know if it's because he was back in Indianapolis and they wanted to get him more run, but I thought it was very interesting to see that he got a lot more playing time and at times more than Quez. And then when we saw Quez make that play later on, but it's tough to replace Dallas Goedert.
All right, Chris, I'm going to jump back over to the defense because being honest, I said yesterday here on the show, I said it earlier today, I was absolutely nervous after the first possession. The Colts went right down the field. Jonathan Taylor, slice and dice, one good passing play. But other than that, the Colts did what the 2 previous teams had done to the Eagles, and that's dominate them with the run. Pierce did in the game against the Texans, even though the Texans, I never thought they were going to win the game, but they did rip the Eagles up on the ground. And sure enough, the Commanders made it work and got a ton of third down conversion to beat them. And I thought same thing happening again. This could be trouble. And then after that first possession, the Eagles defense just stymied them and shut them down in basically all aspects. Yeah, they kicked a couple of field goals, and thank God their field goal kicker missed that 50-yarder. Otherwise, could have been a different outcome on Sunday. But the defense really did turn on a dime. Why do you think that was?
Before I get to that, John, I'll give John credit. John called right before that field goal. He missed it. He said he's going to miss it. We're like, no, he's not for it. And John called it. He said he's going to miss it in the episode.
Good job, J-Mac.
He
put the kibosh on him, huh?
Well, Chase McLaughlin, he's not a 50-yard guy. Like, there's guys who can really jack it up these days from 50 plus. He got 1. I knew he wasn't getting 2. He's not that strong-legged. Brett Maher had 260-yarders.
Oh, back to back. He made 260s.
Yeah, 260s, yeah. So he's not that guy. So yeah, that was my thought process behind that.
Gotcha. But
what do you think changed the Eagles' defense to going from being just sliced and diced to being able to shut down the Colts run game thereafter? Chris, what do you attribute it to?
There's 2 factors I attribute it to. The first one is that's what you saw when you have a guy who's calling plays in the NFL for his second game. I'm when the Colts, his name escapes me right now off the top of my head because
I know.
Oh, really? You're leaving it on the Colts play caller's doorstep, huh?
I really thought that if they went down and started running the ball more in that second drive, they probably would have scored. And we're talking about a whole different game. And I think it leads to a much bigger deficit on the Colts because the Colts established that run methodically, averaging 7 yards a carry on that, and then the next series you start pass. Like I know there's a script. I know they didn't use their 15 plays on their script, but you don't just deviate. That was that when you see something running, you just stick with it. So I thought that had something to do with it because, and then since they didn't do that, that gave the Eagles enough time to change things. But by then they were able to keep it closer. Because I think if they were down 14-0, and the Eagles that just changed the complexity. The Eagles have to throw. I think to throw them a lot more, and then that puts the Colts in the pass run. Is what to make a long story short. That I think that was part of it. And then I think you see these two new additions. When you look at Linval Joseph, you look at Ndamukong, what they did, they played well, and it makes you question like what was going on beforehand. I mean, you see the difference now. It was obviously there's Marlon Tuipulotu, and then there's Joseph and Sue, and it was, and especially this last couple weeks, it was actually refreshing seeing those guys win the line of scrimmage and win at the point attacking, actually get some push or neutralize the offensive line push in the middle of the field, because there's so many times you saw Tuipulotu like he was on skates, he's like one of those blocking sleds where he's getting pushed back and it's like 2-3 yards, and then that gave enough space for running backs to go. So those were that defense. I'll even include the whole defensive line. I thought they played absolutely well. That's it, and linebackers too. So I thought they all played well when it came in that aspect of it, and that's one reason why I think that defense has success.
Parks Frazier, by the way, is
Thank
the
you.
Colts play caller. But I want to give credit, which is an indictable offense in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I want to give credit to Jonathan Gannon, because I think I was telling Jody, I think he made a mistake on that first drive, and he adjusted. If you go back to that first drive, Chris, Linval was on the field. And I don't think Linval owns a pair of skates. He's really difficult to put on skates. And they stopped Jonathan. There was like 3 yards on the first play. It was like 1 yard on the second play. It was a little pass. And then Josiah Scott got beat on the third down. They called the blitz. TJ was loose, but Josiah Scott couldn't handle the back end. They had the big gash play. I think it was 24 yards. And then they went to the 4-man front. And all of a sudden, here comes Taylor. 28 yards, 9 yards, gash. I think he made a mistake, and he adjusted, put Linval in there. And that's where I want to go with you. How good was Linval Joseph in that game?
Oh, my goodness. He set the tone. That first when you saw that first tackle, he got in there, and he was in on there. It was like, all right, well, maybe he was a little excited, and he wanted to establish play. Like, all right, class one. But the way you saw him consistently get in there and force the Colts to put two guys on him or chip him on along the way when they're doing that zone block, he did extremely well, and it shocked me, especially for a guy who hasn't played all season. I mean, I know he definitely had fresh legs. We know that he's sitting around being cooled up, but the fact that he was able to command and do what Jordan Davis was able to do as well too, I thought that went a long way to what the Eagles were able to do. And you're right, when it came to, I understand, because when you look at the Colts offense, Jonathan Taylor is their offense. I mean, you have Pierce, you have Pittman and all stuff, but those guys don't scare me when it comes in terms of stopping them on defense. If you stop the Colts run, you stop their whole entire offense. It's the ball game. And I'm shocked they went to those, unless it's an obvious passing down. The fact that they went to like 6-man boxes and 6-man boxes and sometimes 5, I'm like, no, it's open. So the credit does go to Jonathan Gannon on that to use more of that 5-man line and one and box them up there but Joseph, he makes making Gannon look good. He made Howie Roseman look good as well too.
Even got a split sack with Ndamukong Suh, and
how about that for the Hollywood ending? They both they both share a sack.
Share a sack was pretty cool, even though John said, Linval said to him after the game, "Oh, I'll be in on running downs, passing downs. I'll be standing over here on the sideline, but I'll be in on all those running downs." Hey, sure enough, he got a sack. Must have had to be a passing down to come up with a sack. All right, so Howie Roseman getting the job done again, goes out, adds 2 guys with really impressive, lengthy resumes, older guys, maybe not as good as they once were, but still ready to step in and play with only a handful of minutes of practice under their belt. Is Howie Roseman getting the proper due for how he's handled this roster from the end of last season to where we sit right now with the Eagles at 9-1?
I really do, and I really think when it's all said and done, with all the postseason awards coming out, I think he's going to be named Executive of the Year. Because when you look at the way the roster was, if you look at the defense by itself, what it was when it ended last season. To have guys like, I'll even go to the start of the last season, to 2021 season, when you have Eric Wilson, you have Alex Singleton, Rodney McLeod, all these guys, and you look at what they are now, and you have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, one of the best takeaway guys in the league. You have these defensive tackles now. You drafted Jordan Davis. You maneuvered up to get him. You made a trade to get A.J. Brown, which affected your offense and changed so many ways. You look at all these different moves that he's made. And oh yeah, by the way, you still have a first round pick next year too that you made from one of the trades you did last year too during that. So when you look at it all together, to me, I think the league recognizes it. You're starting to hear more and more. I think it's like if you listen like the pregame shows or some of those national things, I think nationally they really see it. And seriously, I would not be surprised if he's named the executive of the year.
Yeah, I mentioned before I want to run this by you, Chris. I think Howie may have created a new market in the NFL if this works with Linval, Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh. And by that, I mean, Linval's 34, Ndamukong's 35. They've made a ton of money in their careers, ton of success. They don't want to play for a piddlings, and they certainly don't want to play for 17 games for a bad team. So they sat at home. They waited. They can ring chase. They made a decent amount of money. They can if they reach their incentives. If this works, I think we're going to see this year after year after year with veteran players waiting to say mid-season and then pick and choose and go ring chasing. Am I overreacting, or you see that as a potential down the road?
So look, they followed the Roger Clemens plan. When Roger Clemens was later in his career, they just wanted to go ahead and just go, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit and wait, and then it works. And then when you look at the incentives that they do, it helps you out because you got the prorated contracts, which I know a lot of general managers will like. It's a matter of making sure you have the cap space to be able to do those moves. Because look, think about the Giants those couple of years where they had to basically extend guys and restructure contract just to be able to operate in case you need to bring somebody on in case something happened. And so, I think it's good especially if you have a team that has a general manager who knows how to manage the cap, or at least have say like $6, $7, maybe $9 million to maneuver that you can whatever left over you can roll over, but still you still have some moves to do. And then to find the guys that have a talented team to do that, and then like, hey, you know what? All those incentives, they can still make a lot of money with all those incentives that they have when it comes to playing time. So it's a good idea, and you look at the way it goes. Like if I'm on Odell, and that's the biggest piece that I think that's still out there. When you look at Odell Beckham Jr., I'm like, I want a deal like that, but probably just want to say I want more money than they make it right now. But I want a deal like that where I can get like the catches and everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did. And they all thank Roger Clemens for that.
As Chris mentioned, the Eagles have 2 first-round draft picks this year. Number 32 overall, because that would be their own pick. They got the best record in the NFL. Saints got to win this week, so they're down to number 10. I think it got as high as number 4 overall at one point. Track that every single week. But they'll make good use of those 2 first-round picks. All right, we've got a game on Sunday night. Certainly a game I had circled before the year started. Packers coming to town. Aaron Rodgers, Sunday Night Football, show on in Philadelphia. Packers are averaging like 18 points a game. Their offense just isn't what it was supposed to be. We can point the finger of guilt all over the place. Coaching staff, Rodgers himself, offensive line, didn't replace Devonta Adams. Should we be worried about the Green Bay Packers offense coming into Philadelphia on Sunday night, Chris Franklin?
I think so, because I think you have a quarter. The one thing with Rodgers, and if it wasn't Rodgers, if it was somebody else, I'm like, all right, this game, that. The one thing that Rodgers does well is he can get the ball out of his hand quickly. When he sees something like, and if it's a pass, he'll get the ball quickly. The Eagles had trouble with that last year. Granted, it's different roster, different situations, but that's the type of quarterback that I think that can beat this defense. Get the ball out 1, 2, 3, and get it go. The problem is he doesn't have the receivers like beside Alan Lazard. It's like, and although Christian Watson is starting to get better as he gets more experience. So you can't completely discount him. They got this. This will be easy, and people will be able to turn the TV off by like 10:30. No, I don't think so. I actually think it's going to be really, really close. I really do.
Yeah.
is going to be enough. And he still got Jones as a running back too, who still is very viable, is still physical too. So you're going to need that defensive line to duplicate the success they had against Jonathan Taylor. So I still worry about that. I still truly worry about this offense. I think it could be the game is decided by only one score. I really do.
All right, Chris, current NFL defensive rankings. Eagles, number 2 overall. First in takeaways, first in interceptions, first in yards per play allowed, first in drives ending in a turnover, third in drives ending in an offensive score. Yet we got a bad defensive coordinator. What is context lost in Philadelphia as opposed to the rest of the league and how they play defense?
I was trying to find a way to like a good metaphor or a good way to compare it. It's almost like I think it's one of those things where people are like, it's not the blitzing old school style defense that a lot of people have seen. They don't rush, they don't blitz a lot, so it's not that attacky. You're not looking like Wink Martindale, or you're not looking at the old Jim Johnson thing. So it must not be doing that. And listen, all this team needs, look at the Super Bowl years. I think it's better. It's definitely better than the Jim Schwartz era. So that's all you need to do is basically stop. The main basis is to stop teams from scoring. That's the main thing you want your defense to do. And they've done that when it comes to
by the way, Chris, that third play of the game, Eagles fans got what they wanted. They got the blitz. TJ Edwards, by the way, good blitz. It was great design. He's loose. He's bearing down on the quarterback. But bang, veteran quarterback sees the blitz, throws right behind it. Josiah Scott can't keep up. 24, 26, whatever it was. Best. Does anybody not notice those plays when the blitz doesn't work?
No, it doesn't. It has to be effective. It has to be an all-out blitz. It has to be zero cover. Basically, zero. It has to be a zero blitz, or it doesn't count. That's like it seems like it happens all the time. By the way, TJ Edwards one of the most underrated people.
Most underrated. Jody knows I've been on that train. I had to toot my own horn.
He played real well this past week again. Yeah, he didn't get there on that blitz. That wasn't his fault, and he was a major reason why they turned around, stopped the run after that first drive. All right. Mr. Franklin, I need your opinion on this. John and I have discussed it before. I'm pretty sure we've never discussed it with you. Eagles going all black uniform on Sunday versus the Packers. Your thoughts?
I like it. To me, it's clean. When it comes to the black jersey, well, obviously, it's cool. But I like it. I like the look of it. I like the helmets. I mean, even if it's for 1 year, why not? You can get things behind it, have a blackout, try to get people to wear all black and things. From a marketing standpoint, it's smart. When I look at the overall, like, hey, if you have a third helmet and you can't get the Kelly green ones until next year, why not? The teams like that. I'm shocked they haven't gone more white pants, white on black, or green on black. The ones that they had success with last year, the ones that Jalen Hurts was really pushing for, and they were doing well with it. So I like the look. I think I want to see. I'm not sure. I don't know how many guys are superstitious. When they say, "Oh, this is not my normal helmet. What's going on here?" I don't know how many guys you have like that on a team, but overall,
Jody knows how I feel about this. I give Ruben Frank credit for this because I'm with Ruben. Indianapolis. Ask me what the Eagles wore in Indianapolis. I can't tell you. I have no stinking idea. 5 minutes after the game is over, I won't be able to tell you what they were wearing against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, if they win, it'll look good. If they lose, it'll look pretty bad.
For the most part, the end zone colors.
For the most part, I'm with both Rube and John. I think much to do is made of the uniform, and I care much more about what the players do within that uniform and the outcome of the game than the uniform that is played in. But I get it. It's marketing, it's sales, it's merch, it's what everybody gets all excited by in a holiday season. Oh, got to buy the newest thing.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just naive, but I kind of care about the football stuff more than the uniform stuff.
And it could be a little recruitment tool too, because how many guys say they like Black and wait till next year to Kelly Green? How many people, even opposing players, go like Kelly Green's like guys? If they get a chance to go Kelly Green, if they're between the
Oh,
two, like
you're as
equal
nuts
money,
as
that one too.
you're as nuts as he
Hey,
is. Money. It doesn't matter the colors, the championship. No. Who pays
Even
the
money?
most money? Who's going to give him the most guaranteed money?
Yes.
That's the greatest recruiting tool of all time. More than colors, more than buddies, more than pals, more than championships. Who's putting the only color that matters is green. And we're not talking Kelly. We're talking dollars and cents there, big guy.
Yeah. Remember, all of a sudden, Deshaun Watson, Miami. I want to play in Miami. And then all of a sudden, I'll go to Cleveland.
Cleveland. Yeah,
guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be those throwback Browns uniforms that is the reason Yeah, right.
Or that scary elf in the middle of the field.
Scary elf, yeah. That's probably
Brownie the elf is
Brownie the elf, yeah.
I'm waiting for the Chucky Brownie collaboration movie coming out pretty soon. That thing's just weird. You got your own Cleveland.
Deshaun, this is the last week Deshaun is on the sidelines. He could be back.
I'll tell you, real quick, speaking of Brownie the elf, I don't know what the Colts mascot is nicknamed, but I'm going to say this. Say what you want about the Colts. They do the best job of any NFL team I've ever seen during the breaks. They always got something going on, some kind of contest.
Really?
The cameramen are great. They got every pretty girl lined up at Lucas Oil Field. They're phenomenal. They do a great job in between the breaks. Eagles got to get on that.
Marriage proposals, people throwing footballs everywhere.
I forgot the marriage proposal.
Yeah, it was like everything was going. Like, what is going
throwing
on?
Footballs from the second deck. That was impressive.
Blimp going down. You see like an Operation Airdrop, like an airdrop stuff going. It's like, what is this going on?
Tremendous. I give him credit for that. Jim Irsay, well done. You can't hire a coach. But
did they drop Jeff Saturday from a blimp? No, they just.
I bet some of the people
did. I probably missed.
Did they drop Frank Reich from a blimp? Yeah, we missed that.
He stole commercials out there. I was watching it. I was typing up a story Sunday night, and I think at the Indiana University, they have a commercial where he's still shown on there. Like
Frank's
that's how much
part of it. Good
I got to tweet that out. But yeah, he still has that commercial, and I'm like, this is kind of awkward, guys. You kind of need one to.
If he's coaching another team and they still have his billboard on I-95, then whatever height it is, Dick Vermeil was coaching other teams. They never took his billboard down here in Philadelphia.
Well, and he might not be officially coaching, but we all believe he gave Nick Sirianni some pretty good insight of the Colts before the game.
Didn't help, but he gave it to him. The offense was shaky.
Chris Franklin, last question for me. And hopefully you have a great Thanksgiving and a great Thanksgiving dinner. When you're watching football on Thursday, what's the one thing that must be on Chris Franklin's plate to make it a true Thanksgiving football Thursday?
See, I'm in trouble if I get to say the one thing. I'm in trouble internally here. I probably have to go. The stuffing. The stuffing has to be. The amount of stuffing is extremely, extremely good. But there's a close second. I'll sneak in a close second. There's apples and yams. But the two of them, I know it's only that one, but it's like almost like a dessert on a plate.
Yams.
It's real. You hear it. It's really good because you get like the cinnamon, you get the nutmeg on it. You mix it. It's really sweet. And then when it touches that baked macaroni and cheese at the same time, there's just something about that. You're sitting there like, you know what? I'm thankful for being alive because you taste it right in your mouth. It's just with that stuff. It's perfect.
I like some mac and cheese, but you're scaring me with yams.
I might have to get some for you guys. It's really good. It really is good. It truly is good. I might have to get somebody.
Not as good as Chris Franklin, NJ.com. C. Franklin News does a tremendous job covering the Philadelphia Eagles. Check him out there. Check him out here on Birds 365. He's kind enough to break it down all with us. Yeah, happy holidays, Chris. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm not going to see you today.
Hear.
I'll be back tomorrow. That
better, man.
That plane play got me, but I'll bounce back.
We'll put you day to day. We won't put you on IR. We think that you'll be able to do your thing, and we'll that. But seriously, thank you guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching, and appreciate it.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. That's Chris Franklin here with us on Birds 365. All right, coming back, Johnny Mac. We got to put a bow on the show. Stay with us.